again, the Lions schedule comes out next week, or the NFL schedule comes out next week, and so we'll have a better idea of who's in prime time. Again, home away splits, all of that type of stuff. But I gotta ask, because I've seen this conversation pop up a few times on Twitter, how many primetime games do you think the Lions should have this upcoming year?
2. Oh,
Okay.
Luke, here you go being negative. No, 2 games. You get Thanksgiving, 1, right?
Mhm.
And give me one other game. I want everything earned. Yeah, we finished 9-8. I didn't earn anything. I had to be the bearer of bad news, but down that stretch, we played a lot of bad teams. A lot of bad teams. And
Mhm.
yes, we got to play who's on our schedule, but I only want to see 2. I want them to sleep on us. I want them to treat us like with the level of disrespect, because I need the Lions players to understand that you ain't made it nowhere. Nobody still sees you. They still think that when they show up to the stadium or you pull up to theirs, this is a win. They're not even writing it in pencil. This is on permanent marker type stuff. They have went to the store and printed up win. And I feel like if you give us a bunch of primetime games, particularly this season, it does you no good. It does you no good. I want them to have more and more fuel to look back and say, you know what, we got to really make them put some respect on our name. And for me, 2, you get Thanksgiving and you can find one more that's been flexed. I'm cool with that.
Right. No, and I agree. I mean, I disagree because I think they deserve 4. Like, we're talking about the fact that they only got 2 last year, and one of them was a flex, right? And honestly, that game wasn't flexed for us. That game was flexed for Green Bay. We just so happened to be the team that they were playing. Um, but looking at what this team was, how they were playing down the stretch, and I get what you're saying as far as like those last couple weeks, maybe playing some bad teams. But when we look at, again, 8 out of 10, and basically changing the narrative of the media from what it was early in the season to like, whoa, this might be a team that if they were to get in the playoffs, nobody wants to see them. And you look at the opponent, some of the opponents that the Lions have. I would love to see this team in primetime situations against some of these teams. I think they play the Ravens, they play the Chiefs, they play Seattle again. There's a couple of these teams that were playoff teams a year ago, or that were real contenders a year ago, where it's like, yo, put us on primetime against those so that if the Lions start winning, people can say that it was legitimate. You ain't got to backtrack and be like, well, what did they do against the Chiefs in week whatever? Like, no, you saw it in primetime. Everybody had their eyes on it. And this team needs to grow up quickly, in my opinion. And I get what you're saying in regards to like you want to see them earn it, but I think you also earn it by being given the opportunity and seizing it in that moment. You have to square off against If you have to square off against the Chiefs in prime time, that's a put up or shut up game, right? If you go out there and you compete and you win, like all of a sudden you just beat the Super Bowl champs, and this was a team that everybody, like you were saying, used to write up as a L or as a dub for them. It's a dub for them every time they would see the Lions on their schedule. But if you go out there and you punch Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and those boys in the face, and you steal a win in prime time, like, yo, everybody has to take notice. Obviously, if it happens early in the season, maybe it has a little less weight to it, but I still think giving them about 4 games. Obviously, you have the Thanksgiving game, so technically it's like 3. But I would love to see them in a Monday night game. I would love to see them in a Sunday night game. And I guess if you want to throw them in another Thursday night game, I'm cool with that.
Now I'm going to give you a little pushback, because
go ahead.
You said 4 games. Really it's 3, because you get Thanksgiving plus the other 3. All right. Now, by primetime games, I'm assuming you're talking about games that we play at home.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about games that you have to play and the rest of the country has to watch you.
Okay. All right. So, because if you look at it, they're going to get Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
But when I look at just the opponents, I ain't trying to be funny. The Thanksgiving game, they're going to try to make that game against, in my opinion, I could be wrong about this, I think that's going to be the game against Seattle. All right. So let's say they put Seattle at the Thanksgiving game, right? There ain't another game on here that I'm looking at like, yeah, that'd be a fire primetime game. There just isn't.
Really?
No, I feel like we should beat the brakes off the Bears twice. We should beat the Packers twice. We should
Okay.
beat the Vikings twice. The
Yeah.
Falcons ain't nobody for me to be caring about the national media to see because I don't think they did enough to scare me. The Panthers, I'm putting respect on their name. 247 told me to shut the hell up, right? So I put respect on their name. I can't argue with them. But Denver Broncos would be the only other game that you can look at. So if they make Denver a primetime game, if they make Seattle a primetime game, and they make Kansas City a primetime game in the Chargers, I'm good on that.
Well, see, okay, so because this is who I would have. I would have Kansas City. I'd have Baltimore. I would have.
But why Baltimore? Why because you got to think if that game is under the national media, it's probably more in favor for the Baltimore Ravens.
Sure, but it does. I mean, I don't care who's in favor of. Like, we get to be there. We are on TV,
all right?
Right, and it's the Ravens are going to have a lot of attention on them because, again, Lamar signs a big contract. They get OBJ. Like, he has weapons for the first time ever, and so any opportunity they have to put Lamar Jackson on TV, I think they're going to take it. So I think you get a Lions-Ravens matchup, especially after how they lost to the Ravens a couple years ago with that stupid Justin Tucker kick. And I think that game is supposed to be at Detroit again. So run that one back, put it on national TV. I have those two. I do think you could probably put, and it's not a marquee matchup by any means, but I think putting Atlanta and Detroit up against each other, like on a Thursday night game, would be dope just because you have the two running backs that were drafted in the first round. And they're going to be linked to each other.
That game is going to get love regardless. And you can leave it at 1 o'clock, right?
But no, you could. But if you threw it on a Thursday night.
Like let's say for example, I go with your route. I go Kansas City, and let's say that game is week 3. Because this other problem I have with that being a primetime game. I feel like if that's a primetime game, it's not going to be early. I don't want them. I want Kansas City early. Let me get them early so I can go ahead and nip them in the butt early on. Baltimore, you want them games early because you need all them other ones down the stretch. In my opinion,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little more toxic. I don't care.
I see.
We can take you early. For you. I was trying to think of like a word that would.
That's a good word for you. You living on the dangerous side.
Yeah. I walk on the dark side a little bit. What Simba say in Lion King? I laugh in the face of danger. I'm on that type of time.
Yeah, I'm not even finna test that one out at all. Listen. This is my only thing. I care less about those primetime games because let's say they give us 6 primetime games, right? Don't even care. Let's say they give us 6 primetime games. If we don't win the division and we barely make it into the playoffs, you have just simply destroyed any PR possibilities for primetime games when it's really going to matter. Let's go ahead and show them. You want to get a primetime game, win a division, get a home game, make the playoffs.
But that's another reason though I think that the Lions will be more likely to have more primetime games. Like, again, 3 to 4 in my opinion. And it's because right now you are the favorite to win the NFC North. It might be by a slim margin, but you're the favorite to win the division. So if somebody's got to be on primetime, it's probably going to be you by default. The only other team that they could probably justify putting in primetime in the NFC North is the Bears, and that's because of Justin Fields, because he's the most electric quarterback in the division. Other than that, though, it's you. And so if they have to prop up somebody for the NFC North, why not be the Lions? Why not it be the head coach that's out here talking about taking kneecaps and the coach that took a team from, losing 6 straight to winning 8 out of 10? Like there's a lot of storylines there to kind of appeal to the national audience, in my opinion.